Hey everyone, it's Steven from learnenglishgoplaces.com. Thank you all for joining me today. Today I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story that I think is interesting because it has to do with the names of people and the names of places. And it's a story that I thought of when I was learning Chinese this evening. I was studying Chinese and I had asked someone to tell me what is the literal meaning of a particular country name in Chinese. And the person told me that that country uh, did not have a that country's name did not have any particular literal meaning. Um, it was just a name, although there were different theories about how that name came to be. No one really knew where the name came from. And so, thinking about that, it reminded me of a story, um, something that happened to me several years ago when I was living in Rwanda. So, at that time, I was working with a non government organization, and there was some weekend event that I was supposed to attend that I was asked to attend. And so, um, arrangements were made for someone to come and pick me up at the at home at the house where I was living in Rwanda. And so someone came by the house and picked me up to take me to that event. Um, and so I was driving with this guy, the guy who came to pick me up to take me to the event. And as we were driving along the road, we came to a river, and there was a bridge that went over the river. And as we crossed over the bridge, there was a sign, um, I think right before the bridge, that had the name of the river in the local language, which was Kinyarwanda. And so I saw the name of the river and I wondered to myself, I asked myself, what does that word mean in the local language in Kinyarwanda? And so I asked the guy who was driving me next to me. I said, "What does that word mean in Kinyarwanda? What's the literal meaning of the name of that river?" And he told me it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have any meaning. And he said, "What does Chicago mean?" He asked me. And Chicago is the name of a city in the United States, for those of you who don't know. Um, but no one in the United States has any idea what the name Chicago means. Some people may have some ideas, but most people don't have any idea what the name Chicago means. They just know it as the name of a city in the United States, Chicago. And you could say this for most cities in the United States: Boston, Chicago, Minneapolis. Many cities don't have a very obvious meaning. Now, there are some exceptions, like Philadelphia, which means the city of brotherly love. But name many cities many cities names do not have meanings that are obvious. Um, so it's an interesting question. Does the name of the city really mean nothing, or is there a meaning behind the name that we just don't know what it is, like Chicago? So it's always an interesting activity, something you can do if you're curious. You can look up the name of the city or the name of a person and type the name into Google and type etymology. which means something like the study of where words come from, something like that, or the study of words. I'm not sure of the exact definition of etymology. And so if you type in Chicago etymology, it might not tell you the answer, but it will at least tell you different theories, different ideas of where this word might have come from and what it might mean. So it's interesting to think about these things. We use these words all the time, the names of cities, the names of countries. Korea, what does the name Korea mean? What does the name Russia mean? What does the name Miami mean? The name of the city. So these are interesting questions. And the same thing would go for people. Different names: Sarah, Jennifer, David, Abraham. What do the names actually mean? And because so many times we use these names, but we don't know what the original meaning was, or if there was an original meaning. So that's my story for today. Let me know if you have any comments, any thoughts about this story or this idea about where names come from and what they mean. Thanks for tuning in uh, today, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Thanks so much for being with me today. Hasta luego.